One still could ruin the whole show. No, it's okay. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Cafe Coda, the coolest place to be in the world tonight. How you doing? I gotta get you one of them hats. That's right. Yes, it's been a long and lonely winter. Turn it up, turn it up. I want people to see you. What a great evening, what a great crowd. It's been a long and lonely winter, and let me tell you, it really feels good to see all of these familiar faces. But it's even more exciting to see all these unfamiliar faces. How many of you are here for the first time? Raise your hand. See, that's what I'm talking about. So that means that you must be doing something right. You did. Just like to thank everybody for supporting live music, and especially in these days and times. And it seems like the arts, as threatening as it might be to our support, is still refuge to the human spirit. So I thank you for your support there. So let me ask, how many people were at the demonstration the other day? See? That was probably a cool place to be, huh? Pretty cool, pretty cool. Probably going to see more of those events But you say in the not so distant future. That's right. And so let's make sure that we stay aware of our sense of community. This is kind of like maybe a public service announcement, but hey, I got a mic, man. You know, let's keep in mind, you know, this sense of community. What we can do together will really make a change. So please, I'm begging you. We all know what we gotta do. But tonight we're here to listen to some wonderful, wonderful music. And it's just such a pleasure to have this young man back. Since he's been here last, I think he's probably acquired another half dozen awards. And so it's just a pleasure to have him here. How about it, ladies and gentlemen, the great Benny Benack III Quartet.
Please remember, I still want you, and in case you wonder why, well, just wake up and kiss that good old life goodbye. Seems to be the ideal. Oh, the good life lets you hide all the sadness you feel. You won't really fall in love, for you can't take the chance. So be honest with yourself, don't try to fake romance. Yes, the good life, to be free and explore the unknown. Like the heartaches you must face when you feel them alone. Please remember, I still want you, and in case you wonder why, well, just wake up and kiss that old good night goodbye. Joe Perry on drums. Oh, the good life, full of fun, seems to be the ideal. Oh, the good life lets you hide all that sadness you feel. You won't really fall in love, for you can't take the chance. So be honest with yourself, don't try to fake romance. Yes, the good life, to be free and explore the unknown. Like the heartaches, when you learn you must face them alone. Please remember I still want you, and in case you wonder why, well, just wake up and kiss that good old life goodbye. Oh, goodbye. You better kiss it goodbye. La 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 la. Bye. Bye. Goodbye. Goodbye and hello. Hello, Cafe Coda. Hello, Madison. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. It's been far too long since I've been here, and this is really one of my favorite places to play because of all of you. The energy here is always second to none, and we are now sort of squarely rounding into the final straightaway of this Midwest Jazz Collective tour. We've been on the road for weeks now. We started off at the Blue Llama in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and we've just been all over the place, everywhere in between. And just about the only thing I haven't checked off the list with these guys yet is a nice bag of cheese curds. And so we saw some at the gas station rest stop today, and I thought about it, and I was like, no, we can do better than that. We can do a little bit squeakier than that. So I'm so excited because in the past number of times I've been here to Cafe Coda, generally speaking, I've had some great regional musicians with me, some cats maybe from Chicago, but this time I've got the full New York City outfit with me on tour. I'm so excited. All of these guys are here for the first time. They're getting a good first impression. And it's really been a fun tour, and I'm going to sort of wax poetic about this whole Midwest Jazz Collective thing as the evening wears on. But at first things first, that opening arrangement, I cannot take credit for that. That was actually arranged by our pianist, the terrific Tyler Henderson. Give it up for Tyler. He actually has a debut album with his piano trio coming out on Cellar Live, a wonderful Canadian jazz label, and that was the first single. It came out like a couple weeks ago, and I heard it. It came up on the radio, and I texted him. I was like, dude, you gotta let me sing on that little Tony Bennett vibe. Come on. And he was thankfully very amenable, so that lovely tight trio arrangement, you can hear that on streaming. He's got his record coming out, but I too have a brand new record that is coming out. In fact, while we have been on this tour, I got the CDs for my new album sent to my apartment in New York, so it is impending. In fact, the first single of my new album came out last week, and it was actually recorded live at the Blue Llama where we started this tour, and we have some friends that were hanging out with us at Mackinac Island for Labor Day. It was that same weekend that we recorded that album, so we're going to be playing some music for you from this new record that I have, starting with this next one. And for those of you that don't know, I don't really talk about it much in areas where people like football, but I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the rumor over there is we're going to have Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how you guys feel about that. I don't really know how to feel about it either, but you know, in Pittsburgh, if the quarterback wins, we can accept a lot. We accept a lot in Pittsburgh if he wins the Super Bowl, believe me. So we'll see how that goes. But at any rate, our legends in Pittsburgh, they're either wearing black and gold or they are jazz musicians. And for me growing up in Pittsburgh, the godfather of the scene to this day is Roger Humphries, incredible drummer who is featured on a number of Horace Silver's most iconic records. And Roger was one of the inaugural recipients of this incredible arts grant program that just started a few weeks ago. And at these times where money is being cut left and right for music funding and education, they started this incredible grant where 20 jazz musicians, it's like a Lifetime Achievement Award, over the age of 65, these musicians were awarded $100,000, no questions asked, as a grant. So many great musicians in New York City. Johnny O'Neill comes to mind. He was a recipient. The great drummer Herlin Riley that was on the jazz cruise a little bit earlier this year from New Orleans. He was a recipient. So many deserving artists that have given their lives to this music got this award, and Roger Humphries is one of those, and I know he's putting it to good use in Pittsburgh. So I wrote a tune dedicated to Roger based off of Song for My Father, the iconic Horace Silver tune, and I actually flew my dad out to the Blue Llama to play it with me. So we are going to do this one now. If you know Song for My Father, this will sound very evocative of that. It's on the new album. It's called Song for Our Roger.
Oh my God.
Thank you. It's a brand new one. It'll be out on the new album. And those of you that are maybe perhaps unfamiliar with my musical upbringing, I come from 3 generations of jazz on my father's side, hence Benny Benack III, my dad, aforementioned on the last tune. He plays saxophone. His dad, my grandfather, the first Benny Benack, was also a quite renowned trumpet player in Pittsburgh, and my mother, Claudia, is a vocal professor at Carnegie Mellon University, so all of her students are like Broadway fabulous, so it's very easy to see where I sort of get my affinity for the Great American Songbook, and of course a lot of tunes that I cover are from these great old musicals, but not only stage musicals, also movie musicals, of course, and I think my favorite of all time, a song that I've always wanted to record, but I kind of wanted to figure out my own arrangement on it, was this next one. And one of the joys of being a band leader and growing up in this music is you get to sort of have the transition from being like the snot-nosed little kid in the band that everybody else is hazing and making them take their bag out of the van and, you know, run and go get coffee and all that. That was me for my entire life. I've always been the youngest guy in the band. I used to go to Japan. I still do every year. There was a band called the New Century Jazz Quintet. And in Japanese, they called me like Baby Benny. That was the translation. You know, I was like always the young guy. And pretty much I just blinked, and one day now it's like I'm the old man, essentially. And our band is sort of split up into 2 factions. We've got myself and Joe, and we are the 30-something millennials, you know, the reasonable adults. And then we've got, you know, these 2 young, precocious, I mean, really prodigies. These guys are incredible, but they are just a wee bit younger. And so much so that when I presented them with this song, I said, guys, you know this tune, it's from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And Tyler, and the piano, said, of course, Willy Wonka, yes, Johnny Depp, of course I know that phrase. I said, what? And Tyler's not even the youngest one in the band. I said to Caleb, he's 14. And I was like, Caleb, you must surely, you know, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And he said, yes, I grew up with him in Manhattan Plaza. We used to play in the playground together. My close personal friend, Timothy Chalamet. I said, no, there is one Willy Wonka. And I taught you his name, right? You remember, Caleb? What's the name of the real Willy Wonka? Come on. I taught you this in the van. Don't look to him. Don't look to him. Unanswered. Oh my gosh. Gene Wilder. I say it every night. What the heck? All right, these kids today, they're just brain rot, just in the phone. Come on. We're going to screen the original. When we get to Kyle's house tomorrow in Waupaca, we're doing a mandatory movie night. Download it, okay? Here we go. Pure imagination. With me, and you'll be in a world of your imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. Simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Why to change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. Give it up for these guys, Madison. Come on. That's right. It's that Cafe Coda energy. We love you guys. So I alluded to it a bit at the beginning of the show, but it bears mentioning again. The Midwest Jazz Collective was sort of, the brainchild was our founding father, Kyle Kanoki, who is here from Jazz Coterie, which some of you may be familiar with. The other part of Wisconsin, not too far from here, born out of Waupaca, but they have started up a very successful pop-up concert series there, playing shows in the area, and I was one of the first people to come out to that part of Wisconsin and go out on the Chano Lakes and see what it's all about. And in the years since, Jazz Coterie has become really one of the premier circuits for presenting jazz talent in this area, in the Midwest. I mean, Kyle has become quite a talent scout. Like, he got Samara Joy before she won her first Grammy, you know? He's got so many of these artists, you know, he got a young Benny Benack III way before he just shot to the moon, you know? I mean, he's been able to bring these artists to that area, and it's something that there was simply not there before he just figured out a way to get it done. And that is sort of what this tour is about, but it's just kind of expanding that. And really what it's been is just kind of connecting the dots between Ohio and Indianapolis and Minneapolis and Wisconsin and Iowa, and essentially having a band be able to stay out on the road. And I assure you, these guys, these are the highest level of jazz nerds you could possibly be. If we have a 4.5-hour ride, it's 4 hours and 20 minutes of just jazz records from like the 1960s on repeat the whole time. And when we're listening to all these bands, you listen to Miles Davis's quintet, you listen to these ensembles, why do they sound so good? It's because they were on the road for like months on end, playing every single night, playing like 4 sets a night for 6 hours. I don't know how these guys did it, but they were doing it. And these days, it's so hard to keep a band together and keep a band out on the road. And what I have resorted to is doing a lot of traveling by myself and picking up local musicians. And one of the great things I've learned about that is how many incredible jazz musicians there are in every outpost, in every city around the country. I mean, even right here in Madison, you have so many great local musicians that come and play here all the time. It's inspiring. But to be able to bring the guys that you know, are kind of with me in the trenches here on this whole tour, bring them from New York, it's really been something special. And like I said, I also get the joy of kind of bringing along the young bucks, and many of the places we've gone to, it's their first time. I mean, I think Caleb literally has like never been to the Midwest before, basically. He's born in New York, he's always been in New York. He's got some family in Michigan. Okay, you're in Michigan a little bit, but like every city we go to, he's just like, this is Indianapolis? I've never been here, you know? It's just like, it's adorable. It's adorable. And it's really made possible by Kyle and the Midwest Jazz Collective and all these clubs, basically, you know, taking a leap of faith to say, hey, even though it's a Tuesday night or a Monday night, we're not even usually open this night, but hey, we're going to give it a shot for you guys. And kudos to all of you for packing this place and making it a really worthy investment for all of us. And hopefully we can keep it going. And, you know, all my buddies from New York can come on through Madison here and have some cheese curds, you know? So it's an amazing thing. And so I get the pleasure of introducing these gentlemen to you guys that you're going to be hearing a lot of in the ensuing years. On the piano, right out of the gate, we started with his arrangement, and Tyler Henderson is one of the cats very much in demand in New York City now. He graduated from Juilliard last year, so he's only been out in the real world, you know, for about a year, but he's all over the jazz charts right now. He's featured on a couple records that are charting and are all over the radio. Great vocalist Richard Cortez put out a duo recording with Tyler. That's been all over the airwaves. And he also played on an album with a trumpeter, James Sarno, that was featuring Veronica Swift singing on it. And Veronica sang so beautifully with Tyler on that record. And of course, he's got his own piano trio record coming out. So he's one of those guys that if you go to New York City and you go down there in the West Village at like 1 a.m., he's in one of those clubs playing with somebody every night. This guy's busy, and he is primed for big things. So I'm happy to have him in my band this tour. He's just been tearing it up. That's Tyler Henderson. Caleb and Tyler, they're sort of a package deal because Caleb plays in Tyler's trio, and they're, usually running mates, all around the subways of New York, carrying that big bass around night after night. And he really is the genuine article. He was born in New York City, in Manhattan. His mother, Susan Tabachman, is a great recording artist and jazz vocalist in New York, played with everybody. He grew up in Manhattan Plaza, which is like the famous artist housing. He really did. He grew up with Timothy Chalamet. I wasn't kidding about that. It was amazing. In fact, he's kind of the Timothy Chalamet of jazz, I have to say. And Caleb, actually, he celebrated his birthday the first night of the tour when we were in Ann Arbor, which was so fun. And of course, we wanted to go out and celebrate. And everyone in this band, we sort of have like a pool billiards rivalry. It's not much real rivalry. I win every time, basically. But they all are nipping at my heels, They're coming for me. And so we play most nights. And it was his birthday. He wanted to go out. And so we went out to this, very divey bar that was open late. We could play pool on a weeknight, We get there and, Caleb wants to get a drink. So he goes up to the bar and he says, I'll have vodka, soda, what have you. And she obviously cards him. And so he's, very, very stridently pulls out his ID. She looks at it, she looks at him, looks at it, she goes, well, these out-of-state licenses, they're all counterfeit these days. I can't accept this. She wouldn't accept his ID, which was a legitimate ID. And I told you his mother, Susan, is a wonderful vocalist, has been performing for many years in New York, and you kind of had your start with your mom, and some of your earliest gigs were with her. How old were you when you started playing with your mom? 16 years old. So that was just last year, ladies and gentlemen. I'm kidding. He's 22 years old, but I like to say he plays like an old man. And I mean that in the best way. On that instrument, he plays far beyond his years, very mature, very refined on the bass, and he is a real student of jazz bass. He can tell you what color suit Paul Chambers had the day he went to the studio to record with Miles Davis. Like, he knows it all. He's an encyclopedia, and we're going to feature him on this set too. So get ready for a lot more from Caleb Tabachman on the bass. And you know what I really like? What I really like about these young kids today is that I didn't even have to tell them. I kind of gave up with some of my friends. Everybody some of them are like pirates. Some of them are very bohemian. They're like yoga retreat masters. Like, everybody just kind of wears what they want to wear on stage. But I'm kind of, I'm like a crooner. This is my thing. I was like, Frank Sinatra never wore a t-shirt. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of in that vibe. But I didn't even have to say anything to these kids. And they showed up on the first gig with their suits and ties. And I think they look so handsome, don't they? Tell your friends. Tell your friends. Pocket squares. Oh, I love it. I love it. And on the drums, we have the always steady, the elder statesman of the band. He's been with me since we went to the Manhattan School of Music together. And Joe's probably most notable gig, other than me, was playing with the great Lady Gaga, Tony Bennett, at the end of their collaboration together. Joe is playing drums on Love for Sale, the Grammy Award-winning Tony Bennett's final album, Cole Porter Tribute. So Joe is, yeah, that's right. I was basically, I'm like the AAA minor league team for Joe. I taught him how to work with a crooner, and then he got to go work with Tony Bennett at the end of his life. And Joe is also married to an incredible bassist, Kaisa Mensivu from Finland, and we just were touring in Scandinavia together, so he spends a lot of time in Europe. He also was just shadowing in the pit for Gypsy, the musical, so he's about to be on the Broadway this spring. So I got to get this guy on the road while I can, because once he's in Europe, he's on Broadway. It's going to be hard to get him, folks. So how about it for our Gypsy over here tonight? That's Mr. Joe Carey. Now that I've introduced you to this incredible band, I'm going to feature them for a moment. And this was a tune that was born out of these long van rides where we're just sitting around listening to these records. And to give you an idea of the level of musicianship that these guys have, they were just listening to an arrangement by Hank Jones, the wonderful pianist, and it was a tune called Dancing on the Ceiling. And we listened to it, and Joe was like, hey, you guys, we should kind of play this on the gig at some point. And Tyler and Caleb just put in their little AirPods, and they went to work, and they listened to it. By the time we got to Crooners last night in Minneapolis, they played it one time at the sound check without any music, and then performed it last night on the show. And it is a really, really sweet arrangement, and I'm going to feature these guys and give them some time to shine. This is Dancing on the Ceiling, arrangement by Hank Jones. go that crazy. Don't miss me too much, okay? Jeez. Every time they do the trio tune, that gets like the most house. That's fine. That's fine, because they're marvelous. They're a marvelous band. I'm so glad you enjoyed that. I did too. Every night, I love that. So everyone in this band is a band leader in their own right, and they're composing music, and Tyler's got an album on the way, and Joe already put out his debut album. I think he might have sold out of copies of that, in fact. But I told you that his wife is from Finland, and we actually went to school. She was on an exchange from the Sibelius Academy, the biggest music conservatory in Helsinki, with the Manhattan School of Music, and that's how they met. And Joe spends a lot of the year in Europe. He just finished up a tour with Kaisa, and we were also in a band together with a couple of Danish musicians. We were touring all over Scandinavia in February. It was very cold. And we went to Finland, and Kaisa, when you go to Finland, the most iconic thing you can do in the wintertime in Finland is like a frozen lake dive, you know? So we were outside Helsinki, and we did it. We had a sauna, and the sauna was like 100 yards from the lake. So you go in the sauna, you crack open a long drink, which is, it's like lemonade or something, right? It's like spiked lemonade. Gin and grapefruit. It's like the national drink of Denmark, or of Finland. It's amazing. So you go in there, you get in the sauna, you crush one, right? And then you have to like sprint 100 yards to the little hole in the lake and run down in there for like 4 seconds, and then run back out, and then run back into the sauna and get warm again. And I did it like 2 times. Joe's a psychopath. He did it like 6 times. I couldn't believe it. But he's married to a Finnish woman, so he's got a strong constitution. And with that band, we recorded an album in the middle of that tour, and Joe wrote a brand new composition for that tour, and it was sort of composed in the spirit of us doing the frozen lake dive. It's a brand new tune of Joe's, and it is aptly entitled Icebreaker. How about it for Joe Perry on that one? Iceberg. Well, as I alluded to prior, I told you that Tyler is all over the jazz charts these days for a number of albums in duo with vocal, and it seems like there's something to that, because all the great singers in New York right now, they want to have a duo project with Tyler, and he really plays solo piano so beautifully. And so every night of the tour, we have been featuring a sort of a different number. We've kind of been mixing it up. On my upcoming album, I recorded a version of Crazy She Calls Me, a beautiful tune, and I believe one of the versions of that tune was done by Nat King Cole. And, you know, I fancy myself a bit of a Nat King Cole aficionado, a fan. He's one of my favorites, certainly. But as I've come to discover, as we've been on these, you know, Midwest car van rides, you know, 2 to 4 hours every day, when Tyler gets control of the Bluetooth, it sort of becomes the Nat King Cole hour. Like I realized very early on who Tyler's favorite musician in jazz music was, and clearly he is a man of fine taste. None of us in the van complain, and he has been playing some deep cuts of Nat King Cole, and this is not a deep cut of Nat King Cole, but nonetheless it is one of my favorites, and I want to make sure you guys are privy to Tyler Henderson's genius in this format with the intimacy of the duo. So see if you guys know this one. Wow, that was all it took. There's the 3 notes. You know what? I realized, just keep noodling, Tyler. I think that little underscoring would be perfect. Thank you. As I come back here to Cafe Coda, it really does take a village to run and operate a music venue that supports this art form in jazz music. And one of the things on these long car rides that Kyle and I of the Midwest Jazz Collective have been talking about is various efforts from artists and clubs, and whose job is it to hustle out a crowd, and what kind of promoting can we do. And you know, there's so many things now as an artist that we worry about when we wake up in the morning. And I open up my emails, there's 56 emails in my inbox. My mom is texting me like, why haven't you called me in days? What's going on the tour? Where are you? It's just, there's so many things. We basically have to be our own booking agent, our own PR manager, our own tour advancer, our own like Delta travel advisor. Like, we do everything. And so sometimes it can be really difficult at the end of all of those flurry of emails and calls during the day to then go on and make your 6 posts across 6 different forms of social media and tag everybody and send a ticket link and everything just to fill up a room like this and get all these people that love the music together. And there's one gentleman in particular that from the first time I came here, and I will tell you, none of you were here the first time I played here, because no one was here the first time I played here. It was a complete blizzard snowstorm, and it was like a Packer playoff game. It was like the worst possible day to come to Cafe Coda, and I'm so grateful that you know, the powers that be here at Cafe Coda gave me another shot, because it was a very inauspicious start. There was literally nobody here. It was insane. But in the ensuing years and a couple times since, there's a gentleman, I kind of joke, I call him the mayor of jazz around here, but he's really tapped into the scene in New York, and all of my friends that come out this way, he's you know, been very accommodating, very gracious, and for my part, he's been very responsible in hustling out a big crowd and really making this an unforgettable affair this evening. So I'm dedicating this one to Howard Lynch. Come on. The unforgettable Howard. Come on, yeah, that's right. Right up here. He gets to pick his seat, okay? He's right in the front row. This one's for you, Howard. Unforgettable. That's what you are. Though near or far, like a song of love that clings to me, how the thought of you does things to me, never unforgettable in every way. And forevermore, that's how you'll stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. Unforgettable in every way. And forevermore, that's how you'll stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable. Madison on the piano, Madison, come on. You know what? Cheese curds on me tomorrow, Tyler. That's lunch. On the road. Wow, beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Howard. You're the man. You're the man. Well, folks, it has come to my attention. I have some friends from one of my favorite gigs that I will have the entire year, and I'm relatively new to this community, but I'm quickly finding that it is a large community around the country, and that is the Jazz Cruise, the signature Jazz Cruise Experience cruise line. This is not like a paid promotion right now, I'm just saying. I got the opportunity, actually the first chance that I was going to go on the Jazz Cruise was in January, February of 2021, which you can imagine didn't quite happen that year. Cruise ships weren't really the popular thing at that time. Giant petri dish on the ocean. And I was a little bummed because I had been hearing about it from my buddy Emmett Cohen for years. He's been doing it for a decade, and he kept saying, you gotta get on the Jazz Cruise. It's this incredible community, all these great people there. And a couple of years went by after the pandemic, and I didn't get the email, and I was just like, darn it, that COVID, that was it. I missed my shot, you know? And a couple of years later, I finally got a chance to go on the Jazz Cruise, and it really is an amazing gig because it's like being at the biggest and best jazz festival you can imagine. But not only do you see all of these people on stage, but like you're sitting next to them in the cafeteria and standing next to their wives at the pool and playing pickleball with them on the top deck. You know, it's like you really get to rub elbows with everybody, and also you make a great community of friends because there's nowhere to go. So just everybody have to sit and talk to each other all day. It's wonderful. And so I've made a lot of friends this past year. I was on the Jazz Cruise and Chris Bodie at Sea back to back. So it was like started off the year with like 2 weeks of vacation essentially. It was so much fun. And I had a couple friends that were on the cruise and they said, you know what song we want to hear tonight? And it's sort of my signature number. So I guess we're gonna close up this set with this number. And it's a song that I recorded on my very first album, and Emmett was playing piano, and it's a tune that I first heard by James Moody, the late great James Moody. I was at the Skidmore Jazz Camp in high school, and that moment was so really just indelibly etched in my mind, and I think how important that was for me because it was a summer jazz camp, and I was getting to see legends like that for the first time in my life, and that's really what spurred me on to go to music school and make a go of this. And one of the things that the Midwest Jazz Collective is also trying to do, and frankly one of the ways that we're able to connect the dots on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday portion of the week where you're usually not going to be booking gigs in big clubs, is doing a lot of educational outreach. And so tomorrow is University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, and then the day after that we're at Lawrence University. We did a big residency at Butler in Indiana, and we had an entire like field trip school bus of band students and choir students last night in Crooner's Lounge in Minneapolis. And it's so great. Everybody up here on stage, we're all products of music school, and we all went to, you know, higher education for music. And so that is also something that's super important. And I remember the couple gigs that I've had here at Cafe Coda, there's always young musicians. I always get them up to play. So this is going to be our jam session tune of the set. If anybody out there has an instrument and they want to join in, this is fan friendly on this one. So come one, come all. You're welcome to join us. But it also bears mentioning, like I said, when you own and operate a club like this, you have a great responsibility, and it's not just about presenting concerts, but it's also about, you know, continuing to see that this music goes on. And there's a program here on Saturdays, and oh my gosh, I forget the name of it. Cool School, the Cool School, right? So that's Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Totally free for all of these students to come and jam out. There's instruments for them in the back. Everybody can come and play. And I know that after you, of course, spend your requisite $20 to buy my CD, if you have any cash left over, they do have a donation collection for Cool School to make sure that we keep giving opportunities to these young students. And I tell you, I would not be standing here on stage. There it is, it's in the back. They're holding it up. Vanna White is back there with the big box, okay? So I want to see that overflowing as well. And we would not be up here on stage if not for our elders giving us those opportunities. So anybody that wants to come up here now, okay? Anyone can ride this ride, okay? Jump up with us. It's going to be not pennies from heaven, but very close. It's Benny's from heaven. You can see why I like this song so much. Tyler Henderson, if you will. A long time ago, our first lieutenant named Spears returned to the United States after being gone at war 3 years. His wife said, welcome home, dear, but since you've been gone, you see, we've been blessed with a darling baby, and a cute little one is he. She took the baby in his arms and said Benny was his name. He said, darling, I've been gone 3 years, can't you explain? So I won't seem so down. Tell me, where did little Benny come from? Every time he'd ask, she'd say, Benny's from heaven. His face got red, yet still she said, yeah, Benny's from heaven. He said, I've asked all the neighbors that do come around. Not a single soul in all of Cafe Coda remembers little Benny coming down. Now about a silly little thing like this, ordinarily I wouldn't bother. But from what I know of children, hey, I've got to have a father. And as I look at Benny, I can plainly see that he must be from heaven, cause he damn sure ain't from me. Well, baby, can you help me to uncover the mystery of where this little boy has come from? I asked the butcher, the baker, the cheese curd maker, but nobody seems to give me any answers. I wandered around the town, I went door to door. I came up empty, so I'm asking you for more. I'm starting to think I'm being played the fool. How could my darling sweetheart be so cruel? I think that I'm going crazy and my mind is getting hazy now. What in the world? I know that, you know that, I know that baby isn't mine. So please help me out, or without a doubt, I'll surely lose my mind before the day is done. Maybe I'm dying, but maybe I'm trying so hard to all these memories. You better help them solve the time I have to sing on the piano. infidelity, folks, I tell you, I wouldn't bother. But from what I know of children, they have got to have a father. And as I look at Benny, I can plainly see that he must be from heaven. He really must be from heaven. Ladies and gentlemen, how about that? Tyler Henderson, Heavenly Henderson on the piano. Hey, James to back from the rhythm to back, and oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Don't forget about Ottawa's own Jersey Joe there. Joe there, the Sicilian boy. My name's Benny Benack III. Hey folks, we have a special opportunity. If you want to stick around, we have another show. We have some new ticketed customers that are coming in. But if you want to stick around, we're going to make that possible. And we're doing no repeats. We're playing all new music the next set. So we hope you'll stay and party with us. If you got to go, you got to go. And I will be in the back of the room with some copies of my CDs here of my most recent album, Third Time's the Charm. I know everybody's got a CD player these days, so that's a big hit, I'm sure. But I would love to say hello. I know we got a bunch of friends in the house. Thank you to Cafe Coda. Thank you to Midwest Jazz Collective. We're on to something here. This could be the start of something big. Thank you very much, folks. Benny must be from heaven. Must be from heaven. Benny must be from heaven. Cause he does your
Benny Benack Quartet, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, love. Well, they're wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. Benny Benack Quartet. How about it, ladies and gentlemen? In Madison, Wisconsin. You dig? You ain't got to go to New York. Well, maybe you can. Weren't they wonderful? Fantastic. And we're right here, right here. So, here's the great surprise. We're going to have two shows, right? We got a 9 o'clock show. But you ain't got to go nowhere. If you want to stick around, we would love to have you stick around. We just ask that those of you who are sitting in front, like this teenager right here, I don't know how you got in. Show me some ID, man. How the hell you got in here? Doorman, you might have to move and let some people who drink it. Yeah. I checked his ID. He's all right. He's all right. Yeah, just get that stuff in his head. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming out, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to go home, and you don't even have to leave here. But we're going to take a little break. We have a 9 o'clock show. How about it for our staff, our wonderful staff? So I see so many people who are here tonight that note. You know who you are, so I don't have to name you. So stick around and get to know each other. And for those of you who are coming in for the second show, please give these people a chance to move to the bar and spend their money so that you can come in and get priority seating. All right, let's have a little music. How about it for Jerron Jones, our sound engineer? I love that thing. I heard it sing. All right. And don't forget about Cool School. Cool School.
Cool School, Saturdays, 10 a.m.
That's right, folks. You heard it from Benny, so you know it must be cool.